Yo, welcome back everybody to a brand new video here on the second channel, and today we're going to look at even more new Shrouded Fable deck lists from Japan. In the last video we did look at some, but now we're going to look at even more. We're going to look at some stuff like United Wings, I want to look at Pekaron, and even stuff like Kingdra and many more within today's video. Of course, seeing how the meta in Japan is evolving with the new set. Of course, being legal for the World Championships, and I wanted to look at some archetypes here and see how the new cards are impacting some of these older decks once again in today's video. And yeah, I wanted to also just look at more decks in Japan and just kind of see what was seeing some play over in Japan. But if y'all are new here to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 15,000 subs. I think we're less than 100 subs now away from 15K. So if you subscribe to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and leave a like if you go on to enjoy the video. Of course, I'll leave a link to the site I'm using here, Pokébook, in the description below if you want to look at any of the decks for yourself and build them. So let's start things off here. So the first one I wanted to look at was United Wings, a deck that I am very excited to play once again with this new set, and that's all because of the brand new Dartrix here. Now, I did have the Bubblepedia pulled up here so you can look at any scans and translations here. But yeah, mainly Dartrix has United Wings. We have a Stage 1 at Grass United Wings attacker, meaning that now United Wings is going to be doing more damage, and I cannot be more excited for it. And I definitely wanted to look at some United Wings decks here in Japan. I want to see how the wings are being played, because United Wings definitely has potential to be a decent deck. Obviously, you have to be very careful of stuff like Dragapult, and I guess Regidrago would classify itself as Dragapult too, and even Lost Box could be a little sketchy if you don't play Mew, but I am definitely excited to look at it. So we got a list here that is playing it with no Kirlia, and that was kind of the one thing I wanted to look at with United Wings decks is there any Kirlia within the deck or anything? So this build here is playing Squawkabilly and the new Pheasantipity. We're going to look at the new Pheasantipity real quick here and show you what it does. It definitely is a very strong card. Being able, basically, when something gets knocked out, you can draw 3 cards. Pretty simple ability, but drawing 3 cards for free is pretty darn powerful. And Pheasantipity is definitely a very good addition in United Wings. Obviously, United Wings are very fragile Pokemon, so it's pretty easy for them to get knocked out. We can see this build here plays the 4/4 Dartrix. That's the other thing, too, is when building United Wings, do you want to go all in on the Rowlet? Because you can see here, these builds only play 1 Rowlet, not 4/4, like I just said. But yeah, 4 Dartrix definitely seems really good because you need to play 4. But the question is, do you want to play more Rowlets? Because if you're playing against something like Charizard, I feel like you would want the extra Rowlet. So we'll have to see if there's any United Wings decks here that do play more Rowlets within them, because a lot of these builds here are only playing the 1 Rowlet. We see this one here not playing any Pheasantipity. I guess Tassagiri is a nice little upgrade to the deck. When you have supporters like Carmine and Research, you have a lot of discard supporters in the deck like Serena too. I guess Tassagiri, maybe it's better than having something like Kirlia, because none of these builds here are playing Kirlia. This one plays Maximum Belt. That's not a bad idea, actually, because you can do 320 max damage right now with Ditto with all the United Wingsers in the discard pile, but if you play Maximum Belt, you actually can hit those higher numbers into something like Charizard. Yeah, a lot of the builds here are only playing the 1 Rowlet, which is it's kind of surprising, to be honest, because I was expecting to see more Rowlet. This build not even playing any Rowlet, because considering how popular Charizard is right now in Japan, and as long as there's a 60 HP Rowlet, it feels good, right? Another build here playing Pokestop. So some of the builds here are playing Pokestop to try to mill as many wings. I mean, when you have the higher quantity of United Wingers, now it makes sense to play something like Pokestop. You can see in this build, we are seeing that Kilowattrel here from Paldean Fates, which I think does 10 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon for each United Wings in the discard pile. And now that we have more United Wings to work with, you can actually snipe some okay numbers with Kilowattrel. So that's interesting, adding the Kilowattrel to the deck. This build here plays Zamazenta in the deck. That's interesting. Discard your hand, draw 5 cards. Your turn does end, though, so, you know, it's kind of hit or miss. Other thing to note, too, about United Wings here, a lot of the United Wings decks we're looking at here are all using Secret Box as the ace spec. So Secret Box does seem to be the potential best ace spec for the United Wings, especially when you can grab the supporter and you can grab the stadium and stuff. They all come in handy. So I guess it makes sense to play Secret Box. Yeah, it's all Secret Box. This United Wings deck plays Kyurem in here, helping out against Lost Box, I guess. Makes sense. I mean, United Wings is arguably one of its worst matchups. That's not Dragapult, because I think Dragapult's your worst matchup. But Lost Box is bad if you don't play Jirachi within the deck, which, I mean, we'll see if Lost Box is still good. We are going to look at some Lost Box decks in today's video, too. Yeah, a lot of the United Wings decks here are not playing the heavy line of Rowlet, which is interesting. I'm surprised there's not more Rowlet in the deck, like at least 2 or 3 Rowlet over just 1 Rowlet. This one's playing Legacy Energy. That's an interesting concept. Legacy Energy within United Wings is cool. You can put that onto your Murkrow, which is one of the better attackers because it doesn't need double turbo to attack, meaning that it actually does more damage. You can put on your Ditto also if you want. So yeah, Ditto Murkrow's the better United Wings attack to copy, and Legacy Energy can actually be pretty good in the deck. So I kind of like the idea of Legacy Energy and United Wings too. That's not bad over like maybe even Secret Box, to be honest. It doesn't seem bad. But yeah, look at all the United Wings decks. They're all just like more turbo focused with Tassagiri and Squawkabilly. We're not really seeing many draw engine in the deck. Like I was expecting maybe like Curlia or something, but there's no Curlias or anything in here. It's just straightforward basic Pokemon draw engine support like Squawkabilly and Pheasantipity. Another build here playing Kilowattrel. A lot of tools in this one. We got the Defiance Band, Vitality Band in the deck too. But yeah, Secret Box also being a very common A-Spec within United Wings, which does make sense. It does feel like Secret Box is probably the best A-Spec. I do like the idea of Legacy Energy. All right, here we go. We got a United Wings deck playing Draw Engine. We got the Lie part in the deck. It's basically a bulkier Curlia, which I guess is a lot more useful than playing Curlia itself, because Lipard having 100 HP does come in handy a lot more against stuff like Dragapult, so I guess that does make sense to play the Lipard. We got another build here playing Lipard. I like the idea of Lipard. It gives you a little bit of Iono protection. I mean, I know you have the Pheasantipity and stuff, but I don't know. I still like the idea of having like some kind of Dronge in the deck, like the Lipard. Okay, I do like this build. We see the Legacy Energy returning, but we also see the 2 Rowlet. Like I said, if I'm playing United Wings, I definitely wouldn't mind trying to fit a couple of Rowlets in the deck, because if you're playing against Charizard, wouldn't you want the additional support from the Dartrix? Because Dartrix can easily KO Charizard. You just got to knock out 2 Charizards. You have the Watchel, which can take out their Pidgeot, which is really, really good. I kind of like the idea of just playing multiple Rowlet in the deck. Prime Catcher's not bad in the deck either if you want to go after their low HP Pokemon on the bench. We got another build here playing Lipard. Yeah, I like the idea of Lipard too. Lipard, I mean, I guess it is better than Curlia. This build here plays Luminous Energy in the deck alongside a Radiant Charizard for a little bit of extra late-game power, which is definitely interesting too. Yeah, a lot of builds here just kind of playing the big basic Squawkabilly Pheasantipity, playing maybe a Tassagiri, but let me see a mix-up too with like the Lipard. This one plays a Rabska. Rabska might not be bad within United Wings because you might need the Rabska against Dragapult. Because, like I said, United Wings definitely has potential to genuinely actually be a good single prize deck. Like, I actually think United Wings could be a deck in the format that has to be, like, respected. But it depends on how popular Dragapult is. That's ultimately going to be the thing that holds United Wings back, is how popular is Dragapult. Because that is arguably your worst matchup by far. And having a bad Dragapult matchup is not good. So maybe if you're playing like a 1-1 Rabska line, your Dragapult matchup doesn't become as bad, I guess. That's definitely something to look out for sure. I'm definitely excited to revisit United Wings with Shrouded Fable. And that was basically it for all the new United Wings decks here. Some takeaways, of course, Lipard and Squawkabilly Tassagiri seem to be the draw engines. Not as many builds playing multiple Rowlet. Like, most builds are just playing the 1 Rowlet. There's another one with 2 Rowlet in the deck. I like the idea of at least playing 2 to 3 Rowlet, because I do feel like with the way the format is, with Charizard being BDIF again, I definitely wouldn't mind playing multiple copies of Rowlet, because then you can lean more into the Dartrix, into the Charizard matchup. You can trade them, you can trade pretty well into them, I guess, when you have like 1-shot on their Pidgeot. You can 2-shot them pretty easily now, but being able to 1-shot Charizard isn't terrible either. But I guess it makes sense maybe to play the 1 Rowlet. I definitely like the idea of maybe 2. I like the idea of like maybe like a 2-2 Lipard line in the deck too. Now, but there you go. Those are some of the United Wings decks in Japan. Definitely some upgrades. Dartrix, Pheasantipity isn't a bad addition to the deck either if you want to play that for an extra draw engine in the deck too. All right, next up we got the Petron EX decks, more like dark box decks. We got this build here playing all kinds of different dark attackers. We got the entire EX line in here: Petron, Okidogi, Munkidori EX, and Pheasantipity. And alongside that, there's also Roaring Moon, so a lot of dark Pokemon. We can quickly here look at them real quick. So we got the Okidogi, which does have that big attack, does 130 damage. If it's poisoned, you do 130 more damage. So, of course, you can do 260 damage, and then with poison on top of that, you can potentially do even more damage. Got the Munkidori. If you have the Petron EX in play and this Pokemon gets knocked out by damage from an attack, your opponent takes 1 fewer prize card. So if they knock out the Munkidori, they only get the 1 prize for killing it, unless you get amped, obviously. And then you got Dirty Headbutt, just a nice clean 190 damage. Just the ability alone is what's going to carry it. And of course, we've already looked at Pheasantipity. And then we got the Petron EX here, which is like the main highlight. We're going to look at a lot of different Petron lists, by the way, today. There's a few different engines using this new Petron due to its ability, which allows you, once you're in turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon, or with one of your bench dark Pokemon, except any Petron EX. The new active Pokemon is now poisoned. So yeah, you can switch out the Petron into a dark Pokemon, ideally a dark Pokemon that can either attack or like do something. And then, of course, you can like retreat into a new Pokemon. So there are some combos we're going to look at with Petron. And Petron is a really good addition to the Dark Box deck here because you can actually poison your own Pokemon. Like you saw, you can poison your Okidogi EX, which would then activate the poison effect force attack. This build here kind of leans more into Roaring Moon, though. It only plays one Okidogi EX. Considering how much of a heavy hitter it is, you can see this build only plays the one Monkey Dory, the one Pheasantipity. It's more or less like a Petron Roaring Moon deck. I guess I should also note, Petron is a good attacker, too. It's got Irritating Burst, doing 60 damage for each prize card your opponent's taken. So as the game progresses, Petron is going to be doing even more damage, and it becomes actually a pretty solid attacker on its own. So you can kind of see why there's not as many like heavier lines of Okidogi and Monkey Dory, because you already have the Petron, which is already doing pretty good damage too. You have the new Janine supporter card here to accelerate energy, because like this deck, I mean, one thing to note, this deck has a lot of energy acceleration. When you look at what the new Janine Secret Technique does, you can choose up to 2 of your dark Pokemon, freeze those Pokemon, search your deck for a basic dark energy and attach it to that Pokemon. And if you attach any energy to your active in this way, that Pokemon is then poisoned. So you can also, of course, build up your own Okidogi to poison it. But Janine's Secret Technique is extra energy acceleration. As you can see in this deck here, we have Sada, Dark Patch, and Janine, all pretty good ways to power up something like your Roaring Moon, or of course, your Okidogi or Monkey Dory or something. Another Dark Box deck here, playing the 1/1 Darkrai. I do like this build too. Darkrai seems like a natural inclusion within a deck like this, especially when you have the extra bit of energy acceleration with the Janine Secret Technique. You can get some energy into play for your own Darkrai to do more damage. Darkrai V-Star does allow you to reuse your items, which is good. You can get access to technically 6 Dark Patch in a game. This build still plays the Roaring Moon. Also plays the one prize Monkey Dory in the deck too, which isn't a bad idea for that extra bit of damage / healing. Another like turbo build here. This one might also be pretty decent. Has the heavy Monkey Dory, 3 Monkey Dory. Honestly, it looks like more of a Monkey Dory deck than anything else. You can, of course, allow your Monkey Dory to do more damage. I mean, the Monkey Dory seems really good, because if you're giving up one prize card, and if you were to poison it and then use the new Binding Moki, you can actually make that thing one-shot basically X's while only giving up 1 prize card, which is kind of sick. So we can look at the new Binding Moki here. Definitely a really strong card. Attacks used by the poison Pokemon this card's attached to do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Pretty disgusting card. Of course, if you use that with your own Monkey Dory, I mean, the Monkey Dory is then doing 230 damage, which it's going to be knocking out basic EX Pokemon like Hands, Moon, Shempao, while only giving up the 1 prize card as long as the Petron's in play, which is honestly kind of dirty. So kind of leaning more to the Monkey Dory also isn't bad. And of course, you have Okidogi too. Like this will probably be its own archetype, right? The whole like toolbox of these 4 Dark EX Pokemon, because all 4 of them are pretty solid. Obviously, Pheasantipity is not as good as an attacker, but you can still get a lot of support out of it here. And Darkrai does seem like a decent inclusion. You can see a lot of these builds here are playing the Darkrai V-Star. I do like the idea of Darkrai. The Moon also is not bad. I mean, Moon does have the ability to kill anything in the active. Probably comes up a lot against stuff like the Charizard EX, even though, honestly, with the amount of damage you can do with, like, Monkey Dory and stuff and Okidogi, you can probably knock out Charizard in one hit with, like, Okidogi if you're lucky. But Roaring Moon makes sense, too, because you have that extra bit of energy excel with Sada and Janine, then Dark Patch, too. And, yeah. I do like the idea of just playing the 4 of them together. This one here leans more into the Okidogi, it looks like. We got another build here. Playing more Okidogis. Got Darkrai. Again, Darkrai V-Star seems like a pretty good inclusion within the deck also, just because, again, it allows you to do that little bit of extra support with getting access to more Dark Patches to build up your Pokemon. You can even use Prime Catcher with Darkrai. That's everything Darkrai V-Star can do so well. It lets you reuse Prime Catcher multiple times in a game, which is pretty good. You can see this build also plays the Prime Catcher. Yeah, Darkrai could be good. If, like, you're playing the deck here with all the... I forget what the Pokemon are called, like the trio or whatever. Yeah, I forget what they're called. But Darkrai does seem to be a really good inclusion. And then obviously Roaring Moon can be kind of good too if you want to play the Moon. Another Darkrai build. The one prize Monkey Dory is interesting because you're already playing Dark Energy. It's like you might as well play the Monkey Dory in the deck too. We got this one. Ooh, place the new Zoroark in the deck here. The new Zoroark, as we can pull up real quick here, the new Zoroark's kind of decent. Also, it's not a bad one prize attacker. Has that attack does 60 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and V in play. So you can actually do quite a bit of damage with Zoroark, especially if you get like Raging Bolt or something. Even Regidrago, I guess. Just a deck that likes to put down a lot of EXs and Vs, and primarily just those Pokemon. Just coming through more of them here. Yeah, we just kind of see more of the same, just more Darkrai builds and stuff like that. Yeah, Darkrai makes sense in the deck, obviously. The deck does look really strong. Like I said, the Okidogi, the Monkey Dory combo seems really good. I mean, honestly, you can probably not even play Pheasantipity. A lot of lists here, like, some of them aren't even playing the Pheasantipity. It's not even needed. Because, like, oh, you already have the 3 big attackers. Yeah, I like the idea of it. Roaring Moon, Darkrai seems pretty good in the deck. So, yeah, main takeaways. The deck does lean more into the Monkey Dory Okie Dokie side. I mean, if you want to lean into Monkey Dory, you can. If you want to play the Binding Moki engine with Janine with your own Monkey Dory, you can make your Monkey Dory EX do enough damage to one-shot base EXs with Binding Moki, and while it only gives up one prize, Darkrai V-Star is a great addition to the deck, allows you to reuse Prime Catcher, gets access to technically 6-star patch in the game. You can also add Roaring Moon in the deck, so you can do that extra bit of pressure with its insta-KO attacks. Those are kind of the main takeaways here with the Petron Monkey Dory EX Okie Dokie Toolbox style decks. Next up, we have Palafin EX, another one I'm excited to look at here. Now, Palafin does gain a Petron, so this is why I said there was going to be more Petron, because Petron is actually a good addition to Palafin with that ability that allows you to switch your active Pokemon into a dark Pokemon. Well, the idea is you can go into a good dark Pokemon, like, for example, Sneasler V, which I'm pretty sure has a free retreat cost. You can go into Sneasler V, which has a free retreat. You can also use Force Seal Stone with it. This is a really interesting concept. So with this build here, you can basically, to get the Palafin EX set right, you have to switch your active Palafin to the bench. And the best way to switch your active Palafin to the bench, a lot easier, would be to use Petron. You can use Petron to move Palafin to the bench to allow you to put the Palafin EX into play. And then you can switch into Sneasler V, which has a free retreat, but also gets to abuse Force Seal Stone to allow you to get more combo pieces in a turn, which is really cool. Morpeko is also going to be a common partner, I think you'll see, with the Palafin Petron combo, because you use Morpeko because it does have a free retreat. Like, you basically want to have a dark Pokemon with, like, a free retreat cost in order to make that work. There's also this Weavile here, which I'm pretty sure when you switch it in, you get to, like, force switch a Pokemon from the active to the bench. I'm pretty sure it's what it does. The Weavile is definitely a decent option, too. I just got to look this up real quick here on live. Yeah, Weavile, once you're in turn, it moves from your bench to the active spot. You may switch in your, you can switch in a basic Pokemon, so not an evolution, but yeah, that's pretty good. You can, like, switch in a basic on the bench, knock it out. The Weavile definitely seems like a pretty good addition in the deck, too. It doesn't have a free retreat cost, though, so you have to put a rescue board on it. But it does have that really good ability. So yeah, something like Morpeko, that's Sneasler V. That's basically how Palafin's going to work. Palafin right now is a little bit more slower, a little bit more clunkier to make work. But when we get Petron EX, Palafin actually genuinely could be a decent archetype in the format, because you have such an easy way to put into play now when you have Petron EX. You use Petron to constantly put Palafin EX into play. Palafin's very tanky, has 340 HP. You can see a lot of the builds here playing Weavile. There are a lot of dark Pokemon you could choose from. Again, the Morpeko, the Sneasler V is a cool concept because you can use Force Seal Stone with it. So Palafin with Petron is another big deck I'm excited to try out. It makes Palafin just so much more consistent, and it allows you to pull off Palafin plays even easier, which definitely makes me happy because I'm excited to give Palafin EX a try once again. Next up, we have Kingdra. I did want to look at some Kingdra decks here. I'm definitely interested in Kingdra's viability within the format. So I did want to look at some Kingdra decks here. We can find Kingdra EX here real quick. So you don't know what Kingdra does. It does have that attack King's Order. For 1 water, you can put up 3 water Pokemon from your discard on your bench. And then you have the attack Hydro Pump, which for 2 energy does 50 plus 50 more damage for each water energy attached to your Kingdra. So your Kingdra can do a ton of damage when you stack water energy. And obviously the main way you might want to play it is with Baxcalibur. But let's see what we got in Japan here. So the first build here, yeah, we can see right away Baxcalibur is in the deck. Nice thing with Kingdra too is it's not like Shempao in a way where, like, Shempao has to discard the energy cards every time it wants to attack, making the deck a little bit more susceptible to, like, boss's orders and stuff on Bibarel or Baxcalibur. But with Kingdra, the energy stays on Kingdra every time you attack with it. It's not like you discard the energy, meaning that if your opponent goes around the Kingdra and, like, kills Baxcalibur, well, they're not really doing anything to your own Kingdra, which is good. Kingdra also has a 1-prize Kingdra in the format. I think it's from Lost Origin, I'm pretty sure, which allows you to pick either player, and they have to shuffle their hand to the bottom of the deck and draw 4 cards. So this could be really annoying for decks that like having huge hands, like Lost Box, for example. If you're playing against a Lost Box deck, you can put the other Kingdra into play, and you can force your opponent down to 4 cards, shrink their hand down, make it really hard for them. So there's definitely some cool things you can do with Kingdra, because there's another Kingdra. There's another Kingdra in the format, too, obviously. I don't think the other Kingdra is very good, though. The Whirlitide one's not as good. But the deck also has Palkia in the deck. Palkia's not bad in the deck either. If you want to play the Palkia, V-Star gives you a nice backup attacker. I'm not too sure you're going to need that, though, because, like, I guess the thing with Kingdra is it is a stage 2. The thing with Shempao Baxcalibur, the reason why Palkia doesn't see play in the deck is because Palkia, you don't need it when Shempao's a basic Pokemon. Kingdra is a stage 2, so this deck does need multiple stage 2s to work, but Kingdra's first attack does allow you to put Baxcalibur into play for free, so it kind of cheats around the double rare candy, that you need for both Pokemon. The Kingdra build here playing Baxcalibur. This one does not play any Frigibacks. Like I said, if you want to build a Kingdra deck, you could lean more into Kingdra's first attack, where you can summon the water Pokemon onto your bench for free. And you can see this build here does do that, trying to force the Baxcaliburs into play. Instead of playing Frigibax, because like I said, if you're playing Kingdra Baxcalibur, the downside is you have to use double rare candies. You have to put 2 Stage 2s in play, and that's a little clunky. Even when you have cards like Irida, which easily let you get the Stage 2 water Pokemon out, it can get a little awkward. We got another build here. This one plays Swim at Freely Finneon. You can actually use it to build up Seadra. Seadra does have Swim Freely, and it also has a snipe attack too. So it's actually not a bad attacker, but you can use Finneon to swim freely to your Seadra, and then you can evolve it into Kingdra to attack with it. That's another interesting concept. So maybe leaning more into the idea of using Seadra Finneon could also be good over playing a Baxcalibur. This build of Kingdra EX also could work. Because like I said, Finneon's a basic Pokemon, and you don't have to rely as heavily on rare candy to use it. You can you're not using candy as often with your own Kingdra, though, because you have to use Seadra, right? Seadra just has Swim Freely, so you have to go Horsey Seadra, Swim Freely to your Seadra, and then evolve into Kingdra the following turn. You do have Palkia, though, which is nice. You could play TM Evo in the deck, I guess. You can go like TM Evo, go into Seadra, and then the next turn you can Finneon to your Seadra, and then evolve it in the same turn, instead of having to wait an extra turn. So that could be an option, too, if you want to try out the Finneon engine. Another build here with Baxcalibur. This one does play Candy. Unfair Sam as the spec. Yeah, Palkia does seem to be like a common partner we might see within Kingdra. Too, you never know. This Kingdra build here plays another line of Baxcalibur. This one does not play the Palkia V-Star in the deck, however. Then we got another very wild Kingdra deck. It's a Kingdra Kyurem deck. That's interesting. We even see Baxcalibur still found its way in the deck. This also plays, what, like 27 water energy? That's interesting. The one thing I guess this deck doesn't play is that new Stadium card that lets you put a card on top of your deck. That could be a decent inclusion within Kyurem. That's kind of cool. I'm definitely excited to try Kyurem again with that new Stadium, but yeah, Kingdra Kyurem's an interesting idea. Kyurem does have an energy acceleration ability, technically speaking, with Glaciated World. Still plays Baxcalibur, though. You can even use Baxcalibur and then kind of lean more into Kyurem later on in the game, I guess. This plays Hisuian Basket Legion to put energy back in the deck. All right, we kind of see more of a hybrid Baxcalibur deck here. This one has both Shempao and Kingdra in the deck. Shempao is still very good in the early game because Kingdra, like I said, is a little bit more slower due to it being a Stage 2, where Shempao, being a basic, having that built-in energy search ability makes Shempao a lot more reliable, but you can also use Shempao, to find you energy early on in the game if you want to lean into the Kingdra. But those were all the Kingdra decks. Not a whole lot of Kingdra decks, unfortunately, to look at here, considering this card actually could be like a decent archetype. It sucks that there's not as many Kingdra decks, but I'm definitely excited to give it Kingdra a try when Kingdra EX comes out. Like I said, Baxcalibur, obviously going to be one of the most common ways to play Kingdra. Palkia seems like a good partner in the early game, so you can put in some early game pressure with Palkia. We can lean more into Kingdra in the late game, and you can also use Star Portal to put energy on Kingdra too if you really wanted to. There is also that. And of course, Kingdra using Baxcalibur seems really good. And of course, you can also do some other wacky stuff like the Finneon, the Kyurem, this extra water energy excel. Not as good as Baxcalibur technically, but there are other energy excels for Kingdra too, like again, Kyurem and Finneon. So really excited to try Kingdra out. I feel like it's a little bit more slept on. Again, there wasn't as many Kingdra decks to look at in this video. All right, next up is Lost Box. I did want to look at some Lost Box decks. There are a lot of Lost Box to look at. We're not going to go through every single Lost Zone deck here in today's video because there's a lot. Like, this page is a little bit longer. But I did want to look at what new cards Lost Box is playing with the new set. I want to see if Lost Box is playing any of the new cards, and are any of the new cards new upgrades to the decks. So there's a few cards I can think of, and I want to see if Lost Box is playing them. So I did want to look at some Lost Zone decks. I'm also a big fan of Lost Box myself. All right, so looking at this build here, this one's more of like a straightforward build from this format. We can scroll past that. We got a Sablezard deck. Sablezard is pretty good right now in our format, and doesn't look like it gained many new cards. But we do have a Lost Zone deck here with one new card, and that is, of course, Ursaluna. So we got two Ursalunas in the deck here. We got the Blood Moon EX, and we got the normal Ursaluna. We can look at the normal Ursaluna. This is one of the new cards I thought that was actually going to see some play within Lost Box. The other Blood Moon Ursaluna, the one prize Blood Moon Ursaluna. It's got that ability, Rule of Thumb. When you play it from your hand onto your bench, you can attach up to 2 basic fight energy from your hand to this Pokemon. So Lost Box has played Moltres before. Moltres had the same ability except for Dark Energy, and it was actually pretty good in Lost Box. I played quite a bit of it myself. And this card here does something similar, but for fighting energy. And again, being a fighting Pokemon isn't bad right now, especially against other Ursalunas, Iron Hands, Miraidon, stuff like that, or even on the off chance you run to like an Arceus deck. It does have the attack Mad Bite, does 100 damage, and does 30 more damage for each damage counter already on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it actually is a really good partner within Lost Box because you can use it with Kramer and Sableye to set up some damage counters, and you can come in with that Ursaluna and come in swinging in the late game and finish stuff off. And that's kind of the idea here. You can also use Lana's Aid with the Ursaluna to get your energy back. You can literally Lana's Aid for 2 fighting and then the Ursaluna, rebench it, attach 2 energy to it, and keep chaining the Ursaluna attack over and over. So that was one thing I did want to look at here was, is Lost Box going to be playing the Ursaluna? Because I think Blood Moon Ursaluna 1 prize actually is a decent option. It can turn itself into its own like mini Sablezard style deck here. And of course, why not play the other Blood Moon in the deck? I mean, the double Blood Moon and Lost Box idea sounds kind of sick. Another build here, playing Pheasantipity X. Another card that I think could be good in Lost Box is Pheasantipity. Not only can you attack, because it does require 3 colorless energy to do 100 damage, but you can also use its ability kind of in a similar vein to what we saw with Rotom. We saw a bit of Rotom V in Lost Box near the end of last format. And Rotom V was really cool because basically it allowed you to easily get to 7 in Lost Zone turn 2 when you just instant charge into 3 new cards. It's pretty good. And Pheasantipity kind of does something similar in a way where I know you don't get to play it like on the same turn, but you can use it when something gets knocked out. So it allows you to easily chain attacks a lot more frequently, especially if you were to go like turn 1 Cram and you want to get turn 2 7 Lost Zone. Maybe you just don't have a Colress in your hand or something. You just go Pheasantipity, draw 3 cards, and boom, look at that. You got your next Colress, and you're easily going to get to 7 in the Lost Zone. Also really good against Iono, obviously. Iono spam's a big issue for Lost Box. If you're constantly getting Iono'd over and over again, you can have Pheasantipity in play, kind of like how you would have Mew EX in play to try to draw more cards. But Pheasantipity draws you 3 cards flat out. You don't have to shrink your hand first. So Pheasantipity EX also seems like a really nice addition to the Lost Box. Definitely something that I'm going to be looking at play myself. We got the NESC kind of list here. It does play a Devo in the deck. I mean, Charizard's going to be a lot more popular for sure. We got a Lost Zone deck, kind of just strictly playing Sableye and Cram. Does play one Ursaluna, and has the Monkey Dory in the deck. Actually, interesting enough, not playing any Dark Energy in this Monkey Dory is kind of interesting. I guess it's trying to use Monkey Dory as an actual attacker, because you can confuse your opponent, I guess. That's kind of the concept there. Got a build here just playing Lightning Pokemon. All right, we got a Dusknoir build. Now, this is or a Dusclops build. Actually, there's no Dusknoir in the deck. Another interesting concept with Lost Box could be to play the new Dusclops and Dusknoir because of how much synergy they have with Sableye. Of course, Dusclops, we already know, is making Charizard really broken right now in Japan. But once you're in turn, you may knock out this Pokemon. If you do, put 5 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. A very strong ability, with Charizard especially, but in Lost Box, it also ends up being good, because you can also put more damage on the board for Sableye. This can actually allow you to take multiple knockouts in a single turn with Sableye. I guess another interesting thing with Dusclops is that you can use it with something like Iron Hands to do like 170 damage, I guess, which could come up in some scenarios. You can use it with Blood Moon or Ursaluna. You can even use it with Mew EX. Literally anything. Cram, Greninja, like all your attackers actually can get value with Dusclops. So Dusclops is a very strong card within Lost Box, in my opinion. Definitely something to consider. You can also just lean more into just playing Dusclops itself with Sableye, not even playing like a toolbox, just playing Sableye with Dusclops as its own archetype. We got Sablezard here with Pheasantipity. Not a bad addition to the deck, and that extra bit of draw can help your deck out a little bit for sure. Another Sablezard build with Mawile. We see a build here. Ooh, this is interesting. We got Kyurem in the deck, Zamazenta, and Pheasantipity. I want to look at Kyurem real quick, because actually, technically speaking, Kyurem isn't like the worst thing you play in Lost Box, only if it's in the mirror. But technically, though it does need 5 energy to Trifrost, which again, discard all energy from it, does 110 damage to 3 of your opponent's Pokemon. Very deadly attack. Its attack is only good when you have Anti-Plasma activated. If there's a card with Colress in your opponent's discard pile, you get to do it for 1 energy. But, I mean, if you're playing Lost Box, I mean, 5 energy is so much energy, but technically speaking, you can Mirage Gate to your Kyurem. You can actually lean into the Kyurem as an attacker, which is actually kind of hilarious. You can see this deck also plays the Zamazenta in the deck, a card we haven't really seen in Lost Box in quite some time. Even plays a Ranguru V in the deck, which is interesting. Also plays Pheasantipity. So Pheasantipity and Kyurem both in at this Lost Box deck. Definitely seem like they could be decent options in the deck. Kyurem could be good in the mirror, but you can also technically Mirage Gate. All right, here we go. This is what I wanted to see. We got a Dusclops build of Lost Box. So like I said, leans more into using Sableye. I guess the one thing to note about this build is there's actually no Colress in the deck. I'm not too sure how you're getting to Sableye without Colress. I guess that's one thing to note about this build. I guess you can use Dusclops to build up Ursaluna a lot more quicker. Does play 3 Comfey. Carmine, yeah, no Colress is definitely interesting, but it's really just trying to go early Dusclops. I guess if you Dusclops a bunch of times, you can actually Ursaluna a lot more earlier in the game, right? So there is that as an option too. Turns Ursaluna into a deadly attacker once you get more Dusclops going. So there is that, I guess. That's an interesting concept too, I guess. But it's cool to see. Again, Dusclops with Sableye seems like a pretty good combo that has some unexplored potential. Got more of a Lost Zone like pile build here. Plays a Cornerstone Ogerpon. Another Sablezard with the Pheasantipity. Again, Pheasantipity could be good for sure. Another build here, more of like a toolbox approach with the Mew in the deck. Ooh, I kind of like it. Actually, it's more of like a It's kind of more of like a Sablezard, NEIC, Andrew Hedrick winning combination, actually. I don't hate it. The only downside is there's no Greninja, but if you have Pheasantipity in the deck, I guess it kind of makes up for lack of Greninja. I kind of like this build of Lost Box, actually. I kind of like it, yeah. I like the idea of it. Combining Charizard with all the other strong attackers isn't a bad approach to the deck whatsoever. Another build, Pheasantipity. Another Sablezard with Pheasantipity. Yeah, Pheasantipity seems like it could be really good in the deck, too, as we saw. Shaman. I'm a big fan of Shaman in Lost Box. I'm going to say it right now. Really good against Charizard because you can Mirage Gate to it and just easy build it up. See if there's any other cool builds. Again, we're not going to go through every build. There's a lot of Lost Box to go through here. But we're going to see if we can see any more builds using some new unique stuff. Whoa. It's like a Lost Zone control deck. Wait, what the heck? That's crazy. Lost Box control. I've seen it all, bro. That's crazy. Oh, what? Lost Box control. Crazy stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Because you can Ditto, copy Bouffalon. You can build Bouffalon with Mirage Gate. That's crazy. Lost Box control is a wild concept. That's crazy. All right, here we go. We got another Lost Zone Sableye build. Actually, it looks like the same 60 as the build we actually looked at earlier with the Dusclops in the deck. Again, I don't know how you're getting to 7 or you're getting to 10 without Colress, though. I feel like you need Colress in order to get to 10 a lot quicker, right? Because I know you have the 1 Vacuum and 3 Comfy, but surely that's not enough. I guess you can, early game pressure with Cram. Or you go, early game Ursaluna pressure in a Sableye. Not too sure, though, on that one. Another Sablezard build. Sablezard with Cornerstone Ogerpon and a 1/1 Dusclops is interesting. Again, just putting a 1/1 Dusclops into Lost Box doesn't seem bad, right? If you play the double Sableye, Dusclops with Sableye is a pretty good combo. This one also has Rotom V in the deck. Like I said, with the Pheasantipity, helps you with that extra bit of draw in the deck. We got another Moon build here. Another build with Pheasantipity. Another Sablezard Pheasantipity, I should say. All right, we got another build here playing Okidogi, the 1-prize Okidogi from Twilight Masquerade. Interesting, we only saw the one Blood Moon Ursaluna build. I was hoping to maybe see more. Not gonna lie. More Sablezard stuff. Let's see what else we got here. Ooh, a 1/1 Zoroark in this one. The new Zoroark's actually interesting, for sure. It does, again, a ton of damage for each Pokemon in play. I guess finding the Zoroark is going to be a little more difficult, because this build doesn't play Ultra Ball. You don't really play Ultra Ball in Lost Box, right? So it could be harder to find it. But once again, combining the Thorns, Hands, Ursaluna with the Charizard is kind of cool. More of a combined toolbox approach. Again, there's no Greninja in the deck. That's the only downside to that approach. But I like the idea of it. Another Dusclops build. See, I like this build too. Dusclops with Rotom is actually not a bad idea, because if you go Rotom, turn 2, it actually could be easier to get to 10. If you do play enough Vacuum in the deck and enough Turbo cards, technically, if you go Rotom, you could easily get to 10. Rotom can also help you find more Dusclops for the following turn. Yeah, I feel like if I'm playing the Sableye Dusclops deck, I wouldn't mind trying to fit a Rotom in the deck so you can draw more cards and build up a bigger hand so you're able to get to 10 a lot more quicker. Because if you're playing Sableye with Dusclops, which is a good combo, you probably want to be able to Rotom, and that can help you find more Dusclops to chain more, because you don't really have a good way to find the Dusclops. You just have to get lucky off Colress or Flower Select, right? That's kind of the only way you can find them. So I guess it makes sense to try to play Rotom. 1/1 Noivern, I like that. I've tried Noivern in Lost Box before. It's actually not bad. It's a cool idea. Let's see, more Okidogi stuff. Sablezard. Yeah, Pheasantipity, very common in the deck, too, as we see. Ooh, an Articuno Monkey Dory build of Lost Box. Did a video on Articuno Monkey Dory. Playing Lost Box definitely is an interesting idea, too. More toolbox approach here with Entei in the deck. That's interesting. Let's see. Okidogi, Pheasantipity. Yeah, I'm surprised there's no more Blood Moon Ursaluna, the 1-prize decks. And that was it. Yeah, that was it for the Lost Box. I guess there wasn't as many as I expected there'd be. But yeah, I did want to see how Lost Box is adapting to Shrouded Fable. Like I said, there are some new Pokemon in the deck, new attackers you can play, like the Blood Moon Ursaluna. The Pheasantipity seems to be a nice upgrade to the deck for some extra draw support. Dusclops could be really cool. If you can cook up a really cool Dusclops Sableye deck, there is definitely some potential there for sure. And yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it for the Lost Box, I guess. Interesting takeaways for sure. But I'm excited to try out Lost Box again. Kyurem could be kind of cute in the deck for the mirror. And then, I mean, if you want to be ballsy, you can Mirage Gate to it, I guess. But there you go, folks. Those are all the new decks I wanted to look at in today's video. I wanted to look at some Kingdra. I wanted to look at the United Wings and the Petron and look at Palafin. These decks I'm all definitely very excited for to try out with Shrouded Fable. Shrouded Fable is still a bit of a ways to go, unfortunately. We're still like almost a month away from the set coming out, but I'm still excited for Shrouded Fable release, and I cannot wait to play all the new decks when the set does come out and try out all these older archetypes updated like Palafin and Lost Box. But I hope you all enjoyed today's video here on the second channel. If you did, leave a like. Once again, I'll leave a link to Pokebook down in the description below if you want to go check out any of these decks for yourself that I looked at in today's video. And if you're new to the second channel, make sure to subscribe down below. We're on the road to 15K subscribers, and I'll catch you on another video here on the second channel very soon. Have a good rest of your day, and bye-bye.